Hey guys, I don't know how good this microphone is because I am using my AirPods for this video because I didn't want to put headphones on because my earbuds, or earbud actually, because the other one ripped off. My wired earbuds broke and I didn't want to put on the headset because it was really in the way. I don't know how this mic is going to work. If it's not good, I will find another one, but this is what I'm working with right now. I'm sorry if it's not good. But this is the absolute best that I can, or this is what I want to do right now. If it happens to not be a good idea, I will switch back to the headset. But I'm going to be reading book 5 of the Odyssey, and I will have um and I will be recapping what happens every so often. But yeah, and I have just read I should probably zoom in a little more. I have just read a summary on it, which is actually right here. I will link, oopsies. I will link this and this in the description of the video. Um, but yeah. Anyways, so just a quick overview of what's going to happen. This is about Odysseus. Like, we finally meet Odysseus, and yeah. Anyways, let's start. So, Dawn came up from the couch of her reclining, leaving her lord Tithonus's brilliant side with fresh light in her arms for gods and men, and the master of heaven and high thunder, Zeus, went to his place among the gods assembled, hearing Athena telling Odysseus' woe. For she, being vexed that he was still sojourning in the sea chambers of Calypso, said, O Father Zeus, and gods in bliss forever, let no man holding scepter as a king think to be mild or kind or virtuous. Let him be cruel and practice evil ways, for those Odysseus ruled cannot remember the fatherhood and mercy of his reign. Meanwhile he lives and grieves upon that island in thraldom to the nymph. He cannot stir, cannot fare homeward, for no ship is left him, fitted with oars, no crewmen or companions to pull him on the broad back of the sea. And now murder is hatched on the high sea against his son, who sought news of his father in the holy lands of Pylos and Lacedaemon. I will recap this because this is a bit long. So this is Calypso. Hearing Athena. Okay, yeah. No, this is Athena speaking here. Athena. I can't highlight. And she's basically saying, um, that these men don't know or don't remember how Odysseus had once ruled and how he was a very kind and just king, and to just let him go. And because he is stuck on an island with a nymph, which who we will meet later, Calypso. And she's basically like, hey, he was like a great king. I don't think you should be doing this to him. This is not just. And yeah. Oh yeah, and then this part right here is basically her saying, hey, they also want his son like killed. So that's also like a factor in what she's saying. Anyways, to this the summoner of Cloud replied, My child, what odd complaints you let escape you? Have you not, you yourself, arranged this matter, as we all know, so that Odysseus will bring these men to book on his return? And are you not the one who gave Telemachus a safe route for sailing? Let his enemies encounter no one and row home again. He then turned to his favorite son and said, Hermes, you have much practice on our missions. Go make it known to the softly braided nymph that we, whose will is not subject to error, order Odysseus home. Let him depart. But let him have no company, gods or men, only a raft that he must lash together. And after 20 days, worn out at sea, he shall make land upon the garden isle, Scaria, of our kinsmen, the Phaeacians. Let these men take him to their hearts in honor, and birth him in a ship, and send him home with gifts of garments, gold, and bronze. So much he had not counted on from Troy could he have carried home his share of plunder. His destiny is to see his friends again under his own roof in his father's country. And to recap this, um, I'm not entirely sure what this means, but I'm assuming he's saying what Zeus is saying. He's saying, you did this, so why are you blaming it on me? And also, he might also be saying, just because of this part right here, he's probably like, he'll be fine. Like, Telemachus will be fine. But anyways, he turns to Hermes. If you don't know who Hermes is, don't worry, I don't either. I actually forgot, and I had to look it up. He is the god. He's like the messenger of the gods, and he orders Hermes to go tell the nymph, "Hey, let Odysseus like let him go, but make sure that he only has a raft, so that way he will like go to Shikaria, where the Phaeacians live. I can't say that. Whatever. Um, and then uh, after that he says, well, let these men take him to their hearts in honor and birth him a ship and send him home. Or I'm sorry, birth him in a ship and send him home. Um, which I'm assuming is talking about giving him a boat or a ship, I guess, as they call it, and then send him home from there with a bunch of these gifts and stuff that he didn't take from Troy. And then his destiny is to see his friends again under his own roof in his father's country. Um, and yeah, so, and I think that part is basically saying that, I'm assuming that basically is like saying, yeah, we'll send him home or something like that. Moving on. No words were lost on Hermes the Wayfinder, who bent to tie his beautiful sandals on, ambrosial, golden, that carry him over water or over endless land in a swish of the wind, and took the wand with which he charms asleep, or when he wills, awake the eyes of men. So, wand in hand, he paced into the air, shot from Pieria down to sea level, and veered to skim the swell. A gull patrolling between the wave crests of the desolate sea will dip to catch a fish and douse his wings. No higher above the whitecaps Hermes flew until the distant island lay ahead. Then, rising shoreward from the violet ocean, he stepped up to the cave. Divine Calypso, the mistress of the isle, was now at home. Upon her hearthstone, a great fire blazing scented the farthest shores with cedar smoke and smoke of thyme, and singing high and low in her sweet voice, before her loom a-weaving, she passed her golden shuttle to and fro. A deep wood grew outside with summer leaves of alder and black poplar, pungent cypress. Ornate birds here rested their stretched wings, horned owls, falcons, cormorants, long-tongued beachcombing birds, and followers of the sea. Around the smooth-walled cave a crooking vine held purple clusters under ply of green, and four springs, bubbling up near one another, shallow and clear, took channels here and there through beds of violets and tender parsley. Even a god who found this place would gaze, and felt his heart beat with delight. So Hermes said. But when he had gazed his fill, he entered the wide cave. Now face to face, the magical Calypso recognized him, as all immortal gods know one another on sight, though seeming strangers far from home. But he saw nothing of the great Odysseus, who sat apart, as 1,000 times before, and racked his own heart groaning, with eyes wet scanning the bare horizon of the sea. Calypso, the lovely nymph, seated her guest in a bright chair, all shimmering, and asked, "O Hermes, ever with your golden wand, what brings you to my island? Your awesome visits in the past were few. Now tell me what request you have in mind, for I desire to do it if I can, and if it is a proper thing to do. But wait a while, and let me serve my friend." She drew a table of ambrosia near him, and stirred a cup of ruby-colored nectar, food and drink for the luminous wayfinder, who took both at his leisure, and replied, "Goddess to god, you greet me, questioning me? Well, here is the truth for you in courtesy. Zeus made me come, and not my inclination. Who cares to cross that tract of desolation, the bitter sea, all mortal towns behind, where gods have beef and honors from mankind? But it is not to be thought of, and no use, for any god to elude the will of Zeus." He notes he notes your friend, most ill-starred by renown of all the peers who fought for Priam's town, 9 years of the war they had, before great Troy was down. Homing, they wronged the goddess with grey eyes, who made a black wind blow and the seas rise, in which his troops were lost and all his gear, while easter lies and current washed him here. Now the command is, send him back in haste. His life may not in exile go to waste. His destiny, his homecoming, is at hand, when he shall see his dearest and walk on his own land. I guess this would be a good time to pause. I actually don't know how many pages we have to read. Okay, we're on page 99 and I have to get to 110. Okay, this video is going to be like an hour long. It's okay. So let's go back to where I have just started. Where is my mouse? Okay. Okay, right here. So, this initial section right here is just Hermes just being, or it's Homer is describing Hermes, and he's making his way over to Calypso's island, and in the following section, they are talking about how, or Homer is talking about how, I guess, lovely and nice this island is, and how let me find it. Even a god who found this place would gaze and feel his heart beat with delight because it's such a beautiful place, and it's like amazing, essentially. And then after that, we have Calypso. She's like, "Why are you here?" And then she's like, "Your awesome visits in the past were few," which is basically like, "You came here before and it was really nice, but tell me like what's going on now." And then she's like, I will do whatever you ask me to do if I can, but wait, but please wait. And then she serves him ambrosia and some food. And then Hermes is like, "Why are you questioning me for being here? You'd think I would like want to come here just because?" And he tells her, he's like, "No, Zeus told me to tell you that you need to send Odysseus home." Um, yeah. Okay. The goddess most divinely made shuddered before him, and her warm voice rose. "Oh, you vile gods and jealousy supernal! You hate it when we choose to lie with men, immortal flesh, by some dear mortal side. So radiant dawn once took to bed Orion, and you easeful gods grew peevish at it, and holy Artemis throned in gold, hunted him down in Delos with her arrows. Then Demeter of the tasseled tresses yielded to Iasion, mingling and making love in a furrow 3 times plowed." Oh. But Zeus found out and killed him with a white-hot thunderbolt. So now you grudge me too, my mortal friend. No, now you grudge me too, my mortal friend. But it was I who saved him, saw him straddle his own keelboard, the one man left afloat when Zeus rent wide his ship with chain lightning, and overturned him in the wine dark sea. Then all his troops were lost, his good companions, but wind and current washed him here to me. I fed him, I loved him, saying that he should not die nor grow old, ever, in all the days to come. But now there's no eluding Zeus's will. If this thing be ordained by him, I say so be it. Let the man strike out alone on the vast water. Surely I cannot send him. I have no long-oared ships, no company to pull him on the broad back of the sea. My counsel he shall have, and nothing hidden, to help him homeward without harm. To this the wayfinder made answer briefly. Thus you shall send him then, and show more grace in your obedience, or be chastised by Zeus. Now, to go back to this section. Also, I should totally be an actor, guys. That's a joke. I don't want to do that. Where am I? Okay. "Oh, you vile gods and jealousy supernal." This is Calypso criticizing the gods. She's like, the gods are just mad that we're sleeping with mortal men, and they're jealous of us. And now Zeus is jealous of me being Calypso, because I am sleeping with Odysseus. I am not sleeping with Odysseus. Calypso is. I'm being Calypso. Um, Anyways, And she gives a couple examples: Dawn and Orion, um, and how Artemis hunted him down, and then Demeter and Iason making love in a furrow 3 times plowed. But yeah, and then after that she's like, well, I guess if Zeus wants it, I have to do it because I don't have a choice. But yeah, and then Hermes is like, you should be more respectful, or you might get in trouble. The strong god glittering left her as he spoke, and now her ladyship, having given heed to Zeus's mandate, went to find Odysseus in his stone seat to seaward, terror on terror brimming his eyes. The sweet days of his lifetime were running out in anguish over his exile, for long ago the nymph had ceased to please. Though he fought shy of her and her desire, he lay with her each night, for she compelled him. But when day came, he sat on the rocky shore and broke his own heart groaning, with eyes wet scanning the bare horizon of the sea. Now she stood near him in her beauty, saying, "Oh, forlorn man, be still. Here you need to grave no more. You need not to feel your life consumed here. I have pondered it, and I shall help you go. Come and cut down high timber for a raft or flatboat. Make her broad-beamed and decked over, so you can ride her on the misty sea. Stores I shall put abroad for you, bread, water, and ruby-colored wine, to stay your hunger. Give you a sea cloak and a following wind to help you homeward without harm, provided the gods who rule wide heaven wish it so. Stronger than I they are, in mind and power." For all he had endured, Odysseus shuddered, but when he spoke, his words went to the mark. "After these years, a helping hand? O goddess, what guile is hidden here? A raft, you say, to cross the western ocean, rough water and unknown? Seaworthy ships that glory in God's wind will never cross it. I take no raft you grudged me out to sea, or yield me first a great oath, if I do, to work no more enchantment to my harm." At this the beautiful nymph Calypso smiled and answered sweetly, laying her hand upon him. "What a dog you are, and for nothing learned, having the wit to ask this thing of me? My witness be the earth and sky and dripping sticks that I swear by. The gay gods cannot swear more seriously. I have no further spells to work against you. But what I shall devise, and what I tell you, will be the same as if your need were mine. Fairness is all I think of. There are hearts made of cold iron, but my heart is kind." So in this section right here, and I'm realizing how actually really long this is gonna take. I'm so sorry, guys. If you're already 18 minutes into this video, I just want to say I'm really glad that you guys are here. If you're doing this for the reading log, this is gonna be a while, but if you really do want to understand the book, this is sort of the way to go. Um, but yeah. Um. Anyways, so Calypso leaves, and she goes to Odysseus, who was crying at the sea, because he's like, "My dear Penelope, I need to get home to you." But yeah, and then I guess right here, Homer details how he is in exile, and a very long time ago, apparently, the nymph had ceased to please. This is inciting something that I don't know if I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but I don't know if you guys can hear this. I can try to make the noise. Never mind. I don't need to make the noise. But yeah, and then he didn't want to, but he had to sleep with her every night, but then he would wake up and then he'd go to the beach shore and just cry. Anyways, then she says, "I've been thinking about it and I guess I should let you go and I'll help you do it." And then Odysseus is like, "Why are you helping me leave? Are you sure you're not just torturing me again or harming me again?" And then she's like, "No, I'm not. I have nothing to do against you. I have," and it's right here she says, "And not for nothing learned, having the wit to ask this thing of me." Well, I guess that's her just being like, how could you ever ask me a thing? I just want the best for you. Or at least that's my interpretation of it. Um, and then yeah, and she's like, "I'm just a fair girl." Anyways, swiftly she turned and led him to her cave, and they went in, the mortal and immortal. He took the chair left empty now by Hermes, where the divine Calypso placed before him victuals and drink of men. Then she sat down facing Odysseus, while her serving maids brought nectar and ambrosia to her side. Then each one's hands went out on each one's feast until they had had their pleasure. And she said, "Son of Laer, Laertes, versatile Odysseus, after these years with me, you still desire your old home? Even so, I wish you well. If you could see it all before you go, all the adversity you face at sea, you would stay here and guard this house and be immortal, though you wanted her forever, that bride for whom you pine each day. Can I be less desirable than she is? Less interesting, less beautiful? Can mortals compare with goddesses in grace and form? To this, the strategist Odysseus answered, My lady goddess, here is no cause for anger. My quiet Penelope, how well I know, would seem a shade before your majesty, death and old age being unknown to you, while she must die. Yet, it is true, each day I long for home, long for the sight of home. If any god has marked me out again for shipwreck, my tough heart can undergo it. What hardship I have what hardship have I not long since endured at sea, in battle? Let the trial come. Now, as he spoke, the sun set, dusk drew on, and they retired, this pair, to the inner cave to revel and rest softly, side by side. When dawn spread out her fingertips of rose, Odysseus pulled his tunic and his cloak on, while the sea nymph, dressed in a silvery gown of subtle tissue, drew about her waist a golden belt, and veiled her head, and then took the thought for the great-hearted hero's voyage. A brazen axe head first she had to give him, two-bladed, and agreeable to the palm, with a smooth-fitting haft of olive wood. Next a well-polished adze, and then she led him to the island's tip where bigger timber grew, besides the alder and poplar, tall pine trees, long dead and seasoned, that would float him high. Showing him in that her place, showing him in that place her stand of timber, the loveliest of nymphs took her way home. Now the man fell to chopping. When he paused, 20 trees were down. He lopped the branches, split the trunks, and trimmed his puncheons true. Meanwhile Calypso brought him an auger tool, with which he drilled through all his planks, then drove stout pins to bolt them, fitted side by side. A master shipwright, building a cargo vessel, lays down a board and shallow hole. Just so Odysseus shaped the bottom of his craft. He made his decking fast to close-set ribs before he closed the side with longer planking, then cut a mast pole and a proper yard, and shaped a steering oar to hold her steady. He drove long strands of willow in all the seams to keep out waves, and ballasted with logs. As for a sail, the lovely nymph Calypso brought him a cloth so he could make that too. Then he ran up his rigging, halyards, braces, and hauled the boat on rollers to the water. So in this one now, oh, I guess I should keep going. Okay. This was the fourth day, when he had already, on the fifth day, she sent him out to sea. But first she bathed him, gave him a scented cloak, and put on board a skin of dusky wine, with water in a bigger skin, and stores, boiled meats and other victuals, in a bag. Then she conjured a warm land breeze to blowing, joy for Odysseus when he shook out his sail. Now the great seaman, leaning on his oar, steered all the night unsleeping, and his eyes picked out the Pleiades, the laggard ploughman, and the Great Bear, that some have called the Wain, pivoting in the sky before Orion. Of all the night's pure figures, she alone would never bathe or dip in the ocean stream. Though these stars the beautiful Calypso bade him hold on his left hand as he crossed the main. 17 nights and days in the open water he sailed, before a dark shoreline appeared. Shicaria then came slowly into view like a rough shield of bull's hide on the sea. But now the god of earthquake, storming home over the mountains of Asia from the sunburned land, sighted him far away. The god grew sullen and tossed his great hand, muttering to himself, Here's a pretty cruise. While I was gone, the gods have changed their minds about Odysseus. Look at him now, just offshore of that island that frees him from the bondage of his exile. Still, I can give him a rough ride in, and will. I don't know exactly who that is. God of earthquake, I guess. Brewing high thunderheads, he churned the deep with both hands on his trident, called up wind from every quarter, and sent a whale of rain to blot out land and sea in torrential night. Hurricane winds now struck from the south and east, shifting north and west in a great spume of seas, on which Odysseus's knees grew slack, his heart sickened, and he said within himself, Rag of man that I am, is this the end of me? I fear the goddess told it all too well, predicting great adversity at sea and far from home. Now all things bear her out. The whole rondure of heaven hooded so by Zeus in woeful cloud, and the sea raging under such winds. I'm going down, that's sure. How lucky those Danans who were perished on Troy's wide seaboard, serving the Atreidae. Would God I, too, had died there, met my end that time the Trojans made so many casts at me when I stood by Achilles after death. I should have had a soldier's burial and praise from the Achaeans, not this choking waiting for me at sea, unmarked and lonely. A great wave drove at him with toppling crest, spinning him around in one tremendous blow, and he went plunging overboard, the oar haft wrenched from his grip. A gust that came on holding at the same instant broke his mast in two, hurling his yard and sail far out to leeward. Now the big wave a long time kept him under, helpless to surface, held by tons of water, tangled too by the sea cloak of Calypso. Long until he came up spouting brine, with streamlets gushing from his head and his beard. But still bethought him, half drowned he was, to flounder for the boat and get a handhold into the bilge, to crouch there, foiling death. Across the foaming water, to and fro, the boat careered like a ball of tumbleweed blown on the autumn plains, but intact still. So the winds drove this wreck over the deep, east wind and north wind, then south wind and west, coursing each in turn to the brutal Harry. But Ino saw him. Ino, Cadmos' daughter, slim-legged, lovely, once an earthling girl, now in the seas a Nereid leucothea. Sounds like leukemia. Touched by Odysseus' painful buffeting, she broke the surface like a diving bird, to rest upon the tossing raft and say, "Oh, forlorn man, I wonder why the earth-shaker, Lord Poseidon—" Oh, it's Poseidon. Whoops. "Holds this fearful grudge, father of all your woes. He will not drown you, though, despite his rage. You seem clear-headed still. Do what I tell you. Shed that cloak. Let the gale take your craft, and swim for it. Swim hard to get ashore upon Shicaria yonder, where it is fated that you find a shelter. Here, make my veil your sash. It is not mortal. You cannot now be drowned or suffer harm. Only the instant you lay hold on earth, discard it, cast it far out from shore, in the wine-dark sea again, and turn away." After she had bestowed her veil, the Nereid dove like a gull to windward, where a dark wave side closed over her whiteness. I'm gonna stop right there because I've been going for a really long time. Let's go back up to where I kept going. This was the fourth day. Oh, I was gonna stop, and I don't think I did. Okay. Yeah, now as he spoke, the sunset dust drew on, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, at dawn, which is when Dot spread out her fingertips of rose, um, Odysseus and Calypso are getting ready for Odysseus to leave. She gives him a brazen axe head, that is two-bladed, and adds, which I'm assuming might be an axe, or am I dumb? Um, and timber, no, not timber, oh yeah, timber and pine trees and poplar and alder, um, maybe not necessarily all those things. I think it's just tall pine trees. And yeah, and then they're like building the little raft that's gonna send him on his way and whatever. And then that was the fourth day when he was ready. On the fifth day, she sent him out, and then she gave him a scented cloak, some wine. She bathed him, and gave him some food and wine, I guess. And he's on his journey. He's on his little Odyssey, um, like the book name. Damn, I'm making dad jokes. Anyways, he's looking at sort of whatever else, um, just these beautiful things that he can see that he is looking at. Um, and yeah, and then on he was on his journey for 17 nights and days, which is honestly insane. I feel like I'd go crazy by that point. Um, and then Shicaria then came slowly into view, and yeah, and that's where he was supposed to go. Now, Zeus, I didn't know he was the god of earthquake, but I guess, um, Zeus is mad. He's like, I was gone, and they all made their decisions about Odysseus that they liked him. Like, excuse me. And because he's so mad, he's like, hey, actually, no. I'm gonna make him suffer because I'm mad at him. I don't care if the other gods aren't, but I'm mad at him. So I'm gonna go give him a rough time because I don't like him. And Odysseus, this is just like what happened. You know, see things. And then Odysseus is like, there's no way I die this stupid death where I'm out at sea. No one's ever going to know that this is how I died. They're never going to find me. I'm never going to have a burial. I'm just going to die right here, and that's the end of me. Me, the great hero. That's how I'm going to die? Are you serious? And he's like, I should have died back at war. That would have been better for me, uh, dying at war, because I would have been like famous, and I would have had a soldier's burial, and I would have been praised, and the people would have loved me. But now I'm just dying in the middle of nowhere, like an idiot. Um, and so more stuff's happening. This is just whatever's going on, and he gets back up onto, or no, yeah. So he was stuck under his board, his little raft that he made, him and Calypso made, and then after that, I'm pretty sure he gets back up on it. Um, yeah, he gets back up on it, and then Eno, I don't really know who she is, but I guess she is leukemia. I guess I don't know. Maybe leukemia is named after this. But she basically tells him, she's like, hey, here's this I think it's like a scarf or something that she has. She's like, here's a oh yeah. He's like, here's a sash, a sash. She gives him a sash. He's like, or she says, here's this sash. This will make you immortal for the time being, but when you get to shore, discard it and don't look back. Don't look at it. And moving on. And then, oh yeah, and then uh, and then she disappears into the ocean. Now back to the book. But in perplexity, Odysseus said to himself, his great heart laboring, "Oh, damned confusion! Can this be a ruse to trick me from the boat for some god's pleasure? No, I'll not swim. With my own eyes I saw how far the land lies that she called my shelter. Better to do the wise thing as I see it. While this poor planking holds, I stay aboard. I may ride out the pounding of the storm, or if she cracks up, take to the water then. I cannot think it through a better way." But even while he pondered and decided, the god of earthquake heaved a wave at him, high as a roof tree and of awful gloom. A gust of wind, hitting a pile of chaff, will scatter all the parched stuff far and wide. Just so, when this gigantic billow struck the boat's big timbers flew apart. Odysseus clung to a single beam like a jockey riding, meanwhile stripping Calypso's cloak away. Then he slung around his chest the veil of Ino, and plunged headfirst into the sea. His hands went out to stroke, and he gave a swimmer's kick. But as the strong earth shader had him under his eye, and nodded as he said, go on, wander the high seas this way, take your blows. Before you join that race the gods have nurtured, now you will grumble, even then, I think, for want of trouble. Whipping his glossy team, he rode off to his glorious home at Aigai. But Zeus's daughter Athena counted him. She checked the course of all the winds but one, commanding them, be quiet and go to sleep. Then sent a long squall running under a norther to bear the prince Odysseus back from danger, to join the Phaeacians people of the sea. 2 nights and 2 days in the solid deep sea swell he drifted, many times awaiting death, until, with shining ringlets in the east, the dawn confirmed a third day, breaking clear over a high and windless sea, and mounting a rolling wave he caught a glimpse of land. What a dear welcome thing life seems to children whose father, in extremity, recovers after some weakening and malignant illness. His pangs are gone, the gods have delivered him. So dear and welcome Odysseus the sight of land, of woodland, on that morning. It made him swim again to get a foothold on solid ground. But when he came in earshot, he heard the trampling roar of sea on rock, where combers, rising shoreward, thudded down on the sucking ebb? I don't know what that is. All sheeted with salt foam. Here were no coves or harborage or shelter, only steep headlands, rock-fallen reefs, and crags. Odysseus, Odysseus's knees grew slack, his heart faint, and a heaviness came over him, and he said, "A cruel turn, this. Never had I thought to see this land, but Zeus has let me see it, and let me too traverse the western ocean, only to find no exit from these breakers. Here are sharp rocks offshore, and the sea a smother rushing around them. Rock face rising sheer deep from deep water. Nowhere could I stand up on my 2 feet and fight free of the welter. No matter how I try it, the surf may throw me against the cliffside. No good fighting there. If I swim down the coast, outside the breakers, I may find shelving shore and quiet water. But what if another gale comes on to blow? Then I go cursing out to sea once more. Or then again, some shark of amphitrites may hunt me, sent by the genius of the deep. I know he who makes earth tremble hates me." And back to where we were, I okay. So he's a little confused, and he thinks that what's her name, like Ikko or something? Ino. Okay. um, he thinks that Odysseus thinks that Ino is like messing with him. She's like, "What?" Or no, and he's thinking like, "What?" Um. So for a moment there, he's sort of like in denial, and he's thinking to himself, "No way in hell am I gonna trust that goddess. Like I'm literally actually gonna die if I do that." Um, and then Zeus hit him with another wave, and then Odysseus is like, "Actually, maybe I should go, or maybe I'm misunderstanding this entire paragraph, and initially he did want to go. I don't know." Um, so he swims and he swims, and then Zeus is like, um, "Go the way that you're going before you join that race the gods have nurtured," which I'm assuming is the sort of the argument over Odysseus' life is what I'm assuming it is. And then "nor will you grumble even then, I think, for want of trouble." Um and yeah. And then he leaves. He as in Zeus leaves. And then Athena comes and intervenes, and she tells all of the winds except for one of them, "Stop. Stop being windy and go to sleep." So in other words, she told the wind to stop winding. Um, and then, um, and then she sent a long swell running under a norther. Uh, a norther is apparently a wind from like a wind from the north or going to the north. I don't know. Um, and it took him to shore. No, it didn't. Never mind. Um, just back from dangers where it took him. Um, After 3 days, he sees land, and yeah. So after this, he says, or he sees the land. He's like, "A cruel turn, this. Never had I thought to see this land, but Zeus has let me see it." And he's basically like, "Wow, Zeus had mercy on me. And I saw the ocean." But when he noticed, he's like, "Offshore, these rocks are really sharp," which is, um, it is what it is. And then a sea of a smother rushing around them, rock face rising sheer from deep water. Nowhere could I stand up on my 2 feet and fight free of the welter. He essentially, he's like, "I can't stand up here. Um, and I'm just gonna get thrown aside the cliff." And then he's like, "Maybe if I swim down the coast outside the breakers, maybe there will be better waters for me, and then I will be able to get there." And then after that, he's like, "Well, maybe I might get hunted by a shark, amphitrite's shark." And he's like, "I know Zeus hates me." Or right here, "I know Zeus hates me." Um, During this meditation, a heavy surge was taking him, in fact, straight on the rocks. He had been flayed there and his bones broken. Ugh. Had not great-eyed Athena instructed him, and he had been flayed there, and his bones broken, had not great-eyed Athena instructed him. He gripped a rock ledge with both hands in passing and held on, groaning as the surge went by, to keep clear of its breaking. Then the backwash hit him, ripping him under and far out. An octopus, when you drag one from his chamber, comes up with suckers full of tiny stones. Odysseus left the skin of his great hands torn on that rock ledge as the waves submerged him. And now at last Odysseus would have perished, battered inhumanly, inhumanly. It might, I don't know. But he had the gift of self-possession from gray-eyed Athena. So when the backwash spewed him up again, he swam out along and scanned the coast for some land spit that made a breakwater. Lo and behold, the mouth of a calm river at length came into view, with level shores unbroken, free from rocks, shielded from wind, by far the best place he had found. But as he felt the current flowing seaward, he prayed in his heart, "O hear me, Lord of the stream. How sorely I depend on your mercy. Derelict as I am by the sea's anger, is he not sacred even to the gods, the wandering man who comes, as I have come, in weariness before your knees, your waters? Here is your servant, Lord, have mercy on me." He now, even as he prayed, the tide at ebb had turned, and the river god made quiet water, drawing him into safety in the shallows. His knees buckled, his arms gave way beneath him, all vital force now conquered by the sea. Swollen from head to foot he was, and sea water gushed from his mouth and nostrils. There he lay, scarce drawing breath, unstirring, deathly spent. In time, as air came back into his lungs and warmth around his heart, he loosed the veil, letting it drift away on the estuary downstream, where a white wave took it under, and Eno's hands received it. Then the man crawled to the river bank among the reeds, where face down he could kiss the soil of earth, in his exhaustion murmuring to himself, "What more can this hulk suffer? What comes now? In vigil through the night here by the river, how can I not succumb, being weak and sick, to the night's damp and hoar frost of the morning? The air comes cold from rivers before dawn. What if I climb the slope and fall asleep in the dark forest undergrowth, supposing cold and fatigue will go, and sweat sleep come, I fear I may make the wild beasts easy prey." But this seemed best to him, as he thought it over. He made his way to a grove above the water on open ground, and crept under twin bushes grown from the same spot. Olive and wild olive, a thicket proof against the stinging wind or sun's blaze, fine soever the needing sunlight. Nor could a downpour wet it, though so dense those plants were interwoven. Here Odysseus tumbled, and raked together with his hands a wide bed, for a fall of leaves was there, enough to save 2 men or maybe 3 on a winter night, a night of bitter cold. Odysseus's heart laughed when he saw his leaf bed, and down he lay heaping more leaves above him. A man in a distant field, no hearth fires near, will hide a fresh brand in his bed of embers to keep a spark alive for the next day. So in the leaves Odysseus hid himself, while over him Athena showered sleep, that his distress should end, and soon, soon. In quiet sleep she sealed his cherished cherished eyes. And that is the end of the chapter. However, I do need to recap this last part before I let all of you go. So I know this was really long. This is honestly, I think the audiobook itself is like longer than this. I can actually check it on Spotify right now. Um I'll try to make this part a little quickly. I know you guys probably want to go do whatever else you guys are doing. But this is what, book 5? Oh, book 5 was 23 minutes. I took twice as long. Um, Anyways, I will come back up right now, and I will go from here. Okay. Hmm. No. Okay. So while he's thinking about everything, he notices these, or no, 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 no. I remember this part. Okay. So he was sort of burning out, and Athena steps in to help him, and she sort of guides him to shore. Um and he sees like a calm river, and he's like, "Oh, please, river god, um don't be mean to me. Have mercy on me." And then the river calmed down, and then he remembers that, oh hey, I have this little immortal veil on. It's not a veil, I forgot what it was. Uh, and then he takes what he was wearing that made him immortal. He takes that off and he throws it back into the ocean, and he watches Ino's hands like take it, basically. And then after that, he crawled to the riverbank among the reeds, where face down he could kiss the soil of earth. He laid down basically. Um, and he's like, how much more can I really like endure? Mm. And he's like, and he says, sweet sleep. I said sweat sleep. Sweet sleep will come. My bad. Um, and he's like, I might be prey to whoever's like over here, in the sense that he's thinking that he might get killed by whatever animals are nearby. And he thinks about it for a while, and he's like, maybe it's better if I go under these bushes, and then um and then he sleeps there. Um and he puts more leaves above him, I guess for warmth and also so he can maybe mask his smell. And yeah, Athena helped him through all of that. She gave him the courage to keep going. And that was basically it for this chapter, or this book, I guess. And if you're still here, thank you so much for watching this. This was like a 50-minute video, basically. There are probably some things I missed. I suggest that after you guys are done with this video, go read a couple summaries. That's what I did before going into this, so I knew what was going on. This one turned out much better than book 3. Book 3 was very messy. This one's a lot better. But thank you all for being here, and I just have a good day or good night. It's 6 o'clock right now, and I think I'm going to make my book 6 video right now too. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and bye everyone.